Grandma, why are we here?
This is the Garden of Remembrance at the Grange. It was created by Heritage Mississauga and the City of Mississauga's Parks Department. It is a place where we can come to pay our respects to those who answered the call to action throughout our history. Some came home, some did not, but we and the plants and flowers here in Mississauga remember them always.
How do the flowers and plants remember them?
Well, they may not look as vibrant as they once were during the summer month, but we know that although fall sweeps through seemingly killing all the petals and bulbs, spring will come once again after the long winter of mourning. They will be born again to live another day. Whether in historic or modern times, plants have always been the silent witnesses to our history, like this, mirroring our own lives. We give them meaning as they give us meaning. They connect us to our feelings, whether of loss, honor, reverence, or remembrance. They connect us together.
Loss, honor, reverence, remembrance. Grandma, how do you lose someone?
Life is strange that way. One day I was waving goodbye to my brother at the train station and wishing he would return so we could play like we used to. I would wait for his letters and read them with bated breath. Then, one day the letter stopped, and I knew he was gone, but I never forgot. I refused to forget.
You mean Uncle Jack?
Yes, your great Uncle Jack. Every time we remember him, he continues to live on in our hearts.
Mom always told me you had a brother, but I guess I never thought about what it was like for you during that time to lose him. How do you remember?
Many ways. I used to help my mom make dinner, and the aroma of the rosemary reminded me of the old days sat around the dinner table. My mom told me rosemary had long been a sign, both in folklore and literature, of remembrance. Its earthy fragrance would linger on my fingers even after it had been dropped. It remained with me.
What about poppies? My teacher says that in a few weeks on Remembrance Day, we will place poppies at the War Memorial.
Oh, yes. In Flanders fields, the poppies blow between the crosses row on row that mark our place, and in the sky, the larks still bravely singing fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. Do you know who wrote that?
Was it John McCrae?
Yes. Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae wrote in Flanders Fields in spring of 1915 at the Second Battle of Ypres during the First World War. He too knew what it was like to lose loved ones. His words still help those who are grieving and those wishing to remember. That is why poppies became our national flower of remembrance in 1921. Every spring when they bloom, I think of his words and remember that regardless of the destruction and sadness in life, the poppy still goes on year after year.
What about these flowers? What are they called?
They are, of course, the forget-me-nots found in Newfoundland and Labrador. Tiny but mighty, these flowers remind us
Not to forget, just like the name says. But what are we remembering? Why were people fighting?
they hope for freedom and peace. During the Second World War, many countries, including the Netherlands, had been taken over and stripped of their liberty until Canadians liberated Holland in 1945. Their crown princess, Juliana, who had been offered asylum in Canada in 1940, was so thankful that she gifted Canada with 20,000 tulip bulbs as a sign of friendship. That has continued to this day. Similarly, Her Royal Highness Queen Wilhelmina of the Netherlands was forced to flee her home and seek refuge in the United Kingdom during the war. She brought with her a remembrance for the daisy that grew across her homeland during the occupation. As a reminder of the resistance and resilience of her homeland, She encouraged Dutch refugees to wear daisies on their lapels.
Uncle Jack, wasn't he in Holland during the war?
Yes, he was. So you see that through the sacrifices of those who fought for freedom, many others have been able to live in peace.
What about that flower? I think my neighbor has it in their garden too. They are from South Korea, and they said that this is the flower of their country. I think it's really pretty.
Yes, you remember well. This is a rose of Sharon, also known as hibiscus, and it is the national flower of Korea. When I was around your mom's age, there was another war called the Korean War from 1950 to 1953. The flower is beautiful, but is also hardy and strong, like the Korean people. When the Canadians helped the Korean people, they too fell in love with the flower.
I know what this flower is, Grandma. It's a rose.
This is a special rose. It was created in 2012 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of one of Canada's first conflicts.
200 years ago? That must have been even before Confederation. What war is that?
The War of 1812. The flower is a large floribunda type rose with bold crimson red petals. Do you know why we use this color to symbolize this war?
Well, when I see paintings of soldiers in our history books at school, they are all dressed in bright red.
Yes, the color is meant to honor the British soldiers and Canadian militia who fought to defend Canada. Perhaps the most ancient plant of remembrance is the laurel tree. Its leaves were used by the ancient Greeks and Romans as wreaths topping the heads of great men and women. Do you see that flag over there? The one that says City of Mississauga? You can see the laurel leaves on our flag. They mark our little city as the victorious one.
Well, I know what that other flag is. That's the Canadian flag.
Yes, it is. And here is the famous maple leaf it is inspired by. The maple leaf was first used as a military symbol on the badge of the 100th Regiment of Royal Canadians in the 1860s. Again, the maple leaf was used by soldiers during the First World War and Second World War to show we were Canadians. In 1965, when we were making a new flag, we knew this tree and its beautiful 11-point leaf had to be on it. It is a sign of our patriotism and remembrance.
Grandma, do you think we can stay here for a while? I'd like to sit and do some remembering and thinking.
Let us sit on the bench amongst all the plants then. They will remember with us.